Hey guys, welcome back to my corner. I'm so excited to be filming today because I feel like I haven't filmed a video in like literally forever. Today's video is a video that is very important to me personally, and as you can tell by the title, it is going to be about my ADHD, which if you don't know what ADHD is, it is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And I was diagnosed with this in the 6th grade, but I'm going to tell you guys all about that in a minute. One night I was really tired but could not fall asleep. I was like, my mind would not shut off, and this usually happens when you have ADHD. And so I was just laying in my bed thinking, about it, how I've never even shared my story or never even talked about it, and I was like, I should talk about this on my channel because like it's not something I hide or I'm insecure about. I mean, I kind of am insecure about it, but not as much as I used to be. But anyway, let's get into the video. I'm gonna shut up. So basically, all my life, I guess from like 4th grade to when I was diagnosed with this disorder, ADHD, from 4th grade on, I had trouble focusing in school. I had trouble focusing at home in certain situations. I was having like hyperactivity. I was like just couldn't control myself, I guess you could say. I was having all these weird things going on. I honestly could not tell you what it is I was doing, because sometimes when you are younger, or sometimes when you're doing something that you don't even realize you're doing it. So when I was younger, I know I had trouble focusing in school, but I thought that was just like a kid thing. I thought children just were children and they didn't focus well at school. When I was in the 6th grade, I went through all this trouble focusing in school. And then in the 6th grade, my teachers really recognized it and really noticed that I should have been transitioning into a more mature behavior, and I kind of wasn't. I was still kind of having these same behaviors and not focusing at school as I was when I was in elementary. And my teachers noticed it, my mom noticed it at home, because it wasn't just at school. At home, there's a lot of things that go into ADHD, which I'm going to talk about, so I don't want to say any of the things yet. But I was experiencing all these things that go into this disorder, and my mom thought that she would ask my doctor what exactly is wrong. And my mom kind of explained the situation to my doctor, how my teacher said I was acting at school. Because back in the day, you did parent-teacher conferences. Like in high school, you didn't do that. In middle school and elementary, you did. And the teachers would describe to my mom what my behavior was like. And my mom's like, yeah, she acts like that at home too. And so we finally went to the doctor, like I said. The doctor then diagnosed me with ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. And when I got diagnosed, I really honestly had no clue what it was. I thought that the behavior I was doing was normal teenager behavior, because when you're going from like elementary school, that age, to like 6th grade, that age, you kind of are supposed to transition almost into like the teenage years. I don't really know how to describe it. And so I just thought that that was how teenagers were supposed to act, but no, they aren't. They're not supposed to sleep all day. They're not supposed to be out of control, hyper all the time, and certain other things that go into it. So it was just really crazy, and I just didn't know what it was, and I didn't really know how to react when the doctor said it. My mom kind of felt relieved, but I didn't know. Like, I just didn't understand. I then had like a follow-up appointment and started on a medication, and I think I don't want to say I had the highest dose, but I had like an in-between dose. I didn't have the lowest dose of this medication. So for about a week and a half, I was on this medication, and I think I was experiencing the things that they tell you if you experience, call your doctor, because on this medication, the doctor tells you you will have a decrease in your appetite, which I was like, okay, that's fine. But I honestly could not eat at all. Like breakfast, I would eat breakfast, I would take my medication with my breakfast. To be honest, I did not like taking pills when I was little, so I cracked open the capsule, and like there was like little beads in it, and I put it in yogurt and I would eat it because I did not like swallowing a pill. At lunch, I would not be hungry. I would go through the lunch line, get my lunch, and not even eat it. And I would just stare at it like I'm starving, but I couldn't eat it. And then when I would go home at night to eat dinner, I would just play with my food. I couldn't eat it, and my mom was starting to get worried about me. I was not eating lunch or dinner, and it got to a point where I wasn't even eating my breakfast. This medication literally took all the energy out of me. Like, I would sleep all day. It was almost like I was a zombie. Like, I couldn't even lift up my fork one night at dinner. And my mom said, "You're getting off this medication. I'm sorry." So this all happened in the 6th grade. We went back to the doctor and she lowered my dose. And so even though she lowered my dose, I still experienced these bad side effects. And so my mom took me off the medication completely. And then we just had no clue what we were going to do to treat me for this, because I don't even remember what the medication was called or anything like that. Probably because I never even knew. My mom doesn't even remember, but it was just a really crazy experience. And I just remember I am going to be 20 in June and I still haven't been treated for this. So I don't even know how to describe being treated for it, because I've never been treated for it. So I can't give you like, this is what happens when you're treated, this is what happens when you don't get treated. I can only tell you what happens. I can only tell you my side of it not being treated, because I haven't been able to be treated for it because of the bad side effects. And I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I'm gonna go. So some of the things that as I got older with this disorder I realized I was experiencing is, like, I can't sleep at night. My mind is not shut off, like I said. There's these nights where I'm up till 5 a.m. just laying in my bed on my phone because I cannot sleep. Like, just last night, I was laying in my bed and I could not sleep. I literally got like this burst of energy, and I got up and started cleaning my bedroom. Mainly because my room was a disaster and I could not sleep because of it, but because my mind wouldn't shut off. I just kept thinking about my room being a mess. I had to get up and clean it. And sometimes I get those bursts of energy where I have to get up and do something. And that kind of leads us into some of the things that you experience with ADHD. So I actually wrote down a list of the things that I do experience, because there are quite a few. And I remember one time I was reading about this disorder and they were saying how there's like a realm of there's like a list of like 9 symptoms that people with ADHD have, and if you have at least 6 of these, you probably have it. But for me, I've experienced every last thing that you could ever experience with this, probably because I've never been treated for it. I wrote down all the things I experienced. So some of the things I experienced, like with my behavior wise, is I have aggression or excitability. Like, when people think of hyperactivity, I feel like they always think of somebody being like super excited all the time, like laughing uncontrollably, just being happy, smiley, excited when they're hyper. But when you're hyper, it doesn't always have to be excitement. Like I said, there's aggression, there is irritability. It's like just like an overactiveness of those things. So you can also experience mood swings with ADHD because I have the hyperactivity. So I have definitely experienced the aggression. Everybody, whether you have this disorder or not, you're going to have aggression. But this disorder, like I said, you just have mood swings. And I don't really know how to describe that because it just happens all the time. I can't really be like, oh yeah, I've noticed this happening at this moment. It just happens all the time. Definitely excitability. I get a little too excited about stuff sometimes. And sometimes I get so excited that I can't even eat, like my stomach hurts. I don't know if that has to do with ADHD or not, but you know, that's just who I am. And then fidgeting. So the one thing I could tell you that I definitely have noticed with this disorder is my fidgets. So when I was in school, in the school setting is where I was affected by this the most, which we'll talk about later. But when I was in school, I would be sitting at my desk and I would have my pen or my pencil, and this is going to be my desk, guys, and I would just sit there and I'd bang it on the desk like this, or I would just sit there doing this. I had to do something, I had to move, and I was always talking to my friend next to me because I had to like be doing something. I could not just sit there all proper and listen to the teacher. And sometimes I would get up and get a tissue even though I didn't need one, and act like my nose was running and throw the tissue away because I needed a reason to get up. Or I would get a piece of paper out of my binder and crumple it up and get up and go throw it away. And I would take my time going back to my seat just because I needed to get up. And then like every now and then I would ask for a bathroom pass because I needed to just go out in the hall and get this out of my system. I needed to just walk around. And fidgets doesn't always have to mean getting up or stuff like that. You can I like talk with my hands because like that's something too. Or even just at home, if I'm like sitting down somewhere, I have to like wiggle my foot or like play with my fingernails, like pop my fingers. It's just a whole list of fidgets that I do that sometimes I don't even realize that I'm doing. So a lot of things a lot of things on here that I wrote down I experienced, but sometimes I don't realize I'm experiencing. These are things that people say they have seen me do. So like one of them is repetition of like certain things, like words or actions. I really couldn't tell you a time where I've done something like this because, like I said, some of these things you do, you don't even realize you're doing them. One thing I can say though is if I'm ever doing a video on here and I'm like talking super fast, it is because my ADHD. I also hate saying that, like if something happens and somebody's like, wow, like you're really hyper today, or wow, why are you acting like this today? And I'm like, oh, sorry, ADHD. Like, I don't do that. Like, that's not something I do. But since I'm making this video, I'm gonna blame stuff on my ADHD, because that's true. But I couldn't tell you the repetition of words and actions. I couldn't tell you how I experienced that, because it's just one of those things you do without realizing it. So obviously with this disorder, I have experienced a short attention span. Like, you guys will notice me when I film out like by my window because the lighting is good, and I always look out the window. I'm distracted by everything. I have a short attention span, and so like there's a cone outside, I just stare at the cone, or there's like a stick on the ground and I just stare at the stick. And I don't know, like I can't focus on one thing. Like, it's hard to focus, and that's mainly what this disorder is all about, is your attention. Your attention, it can't be brought to one thing. You get distracted easily, and that's why it affects people the most in school, and that's why I never did great in school, because I was always wanting to be focused on something other than what I was supposed to be focused on, of course. And I got distracted easily, like especially at school. Like, I still have this disorder. I'm just using the past tense because I'm not in school right now. So when I was in school, I would get distracted by a door closing. I would like be like, what? Like, I would stop my work and like look up just to see the door close. Like, really weird things like that. I don't even really know how to describe that. But you just don't focus. Your attention span is all over the place. You're like a dog that sees a squirrel and then sees something else, and then you just lose your mind. Another thing I've noticed with ADHD, with having ADHD, is forgetfulness, and this actually is something that falls into play with this disorder. A lot of times I say or like, or I pause for a second, because another thing with ADHD is absent-mindedness. I definitely experience these two things a lot, forgetfulness and absent-mindedness. That's really hard to say. I will sit there for like seconds, staring off into space, trying to figure out what it is I was going to say, and I forget things very easily, and that's why I have to write some things down when I talk to you guys, or kind of have like a premeditated video before this so I can remember it. And it's really crazy. I forget things all the time, but at the same time, I can remember so many things, but I can't remember so many things. It's really weird, which I'm sure even people without this disorder can relate to too. And I can't speak English today. Like I said, this disorder, you can experience mood swings, which like I said, I've already talked about this, but I didn't even really know that that was part of ADHD until actually a few years ago, when I went to my pediatrician and she asked me, like, did I want to be treated for it again? And I was like, no, I actually didn't even think about it. And she was asking me things, if I was experiencing certain things, and she asked me if I was experiencing mood swings, and I was like, that has to do with ADHD? Like, I didn't know that was this disorder. She said, yeah, you can experience mood swings with ADHD too, just like some other disorders. And I was like, wow. I just want to pause real quick. ADHD is a mental disorder. I forgot to say that at the beginning. Forgetfulness. I forgot to say that. I wanted to clarify that at the beginning, because I feel like people try to go around the word mental and they say brain disorder or neurological. They can't even say the word mental sometimes. It is a mental disorder, a mental illness, and I thought I should throw that out there because I forgot to say that. So a lot of things that you go through in life lead you to get depressed. So I had ADHD related depression, I guess you could say. It affected me the most in school. I still get depressed because of this, but now I have certain ways I can kind of help myself get out of that. But in school, I would say I got depressed more from this. So like, because I had this disorder, plus I had school life to deal with, teenage life, you know, schoolwork, boys, friendships, all that stuff on top of this. And so I got depressed even more with this in school than I do now. I still go through all these things no matter if I'm at school, at home, or anywhere. But school is just where it affects me the most, and that's why I use school the most when I'm talking about it. Another thing that you can develop with ADHD is a learning disability. And I have a learning disability, and I've had this, I want to say, my whole life. I was wrongfully tested for this, and I just want to say that in, I think, the 5th grade, I was tested for a learning disability, and they told me I did not have one. And then again in my junior year of high school, my school counselor brought me down to the office, and she said, I know you struggle with ADHD, and apparently she did her homework and she realized that you can get a learning disability from it, so she had me tested for one, which I told her I had already been tested. She said, I really think they should be tested again. So I was tested again for a learning disability, and lo and behold, I actually found out right before I graduated that I needed to be placed in certain classes. So for all those years, from 5th grade to my junior year of high school, I was placed in the wrong classes. That's why I probably failed math half my life. I had to go to summer school every year for math because I failed it every year. I worked my butt off in math and still failed. Math is the only subject I have a learning disability in. I still struggle with math today, like everyday math skills. It's really hard for me. And I'm not going to say which skills because there's a lot and it's kind of embarrassing, but I know I should share it and be kind of, but my learning disability is one of my biggest insecurities, and I don't really ever like talking about it. I finally, in my senior year, was placed in the right classes for math, and I passed my math class my senior year with an A. Like, I've never done that in my life, and it was amazing. I think that is pretty much it for this video. I kept telling myself I didn't want it to be that long, but all the stuff I wanted to cover kind of made it be a little longer. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This video means a lot to me personally because I never even thought about talking about this. But one night my mind said, just do it on your YouTube channel. I even like wrote down my whole entire story in that notebook. But I'm not going to show it because there's a lot of like scribbles in the notebook. But like I said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, I want to start doing more relatable videos that people can like relate to in some way and things like that. I really want to start doing that on my channel, like advice videos, stuff like that. Don't forget to subscribe to my corner to be part of my K-Nation, and also subscribe to my vlog channel called Kiana Vlogs, and I have an Instagram page called Kiana's_corner. No caps, no apostrophes, no nothing. I'll put that on the screen. I'll put all the stuff in the description also. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time on my corner.